Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Dark Side of the Word, a dark podcast for all our dark story lovers. I'm Kate, and I'm here with my amusing co-host, CJ.
And with your terrified co-host, CJ.
But, friends, say hi to our listeners.
Hello!
I told you something cool is coming. We are now video for one
We
episode
are
a month.
indeed.
Because
that's all I will allow at this moment.
Yeah, pretty much. So be nice, listeners. Be nice. Be kind. Only say loving words. Because we want to work CJ into doing this full time.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm cut out. I think I have a face for radio. So, I'm very apprehensive about this already. This is feeling very weird.
No, you're good.
It's good to try new things, right?
I think you're adorable. You have the cutest
It's the cat ears.
Yes, exactly. It's becoming your thing now.
It is.
But to prepare for this, we have done a couple of practice video recordings for our other episodes. So we could get used to the camera. And
it did not work. No.
Well, I want to warn the listeners, Celia doesn't agree, but just in case, my resting face, I feel like I get a scowl. So I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm happy. Also, I tend to
You're gonna see us, listeners, in all our glory, which is why we haven't done this before. All the weird tics, all the weird quirks, the vacant stares as one other person talks. We try to sneak in a sip of something. It's all gonna be revealed. This is just a revelation.
I picked the pay notes.
In going with my cat theme, I picked this from the Pasheen box that my husband got me recently. Ignore the lipstick stain.
So we're super excited to offer this new format for you. We are still podcasting Spotify and iTunes, Apple Podcast, and my heart. But now there's video content on YouTube for this. So give us some love below. But our content is still going to be hot and spot on. It is book club episode, which means it is time to talk about the book. I hope you have a warm drink like we do, except mine's not warm because I'm now in Florida and it is hot.
Yes. Mine is warm because I have a teapot warmer here and I put a little candle there and I put my mug right on the teapot warmer.
See, it's just not, it's pointless thing now.
Do you want to go microwave your drink?
It's water.
I like hot water. Put some lemon in it.
But no, it's pointless. It's hot. I'm sweating already.
I drink
we talked about
in the middle
this
of summer all the time. All the time.
Well, we hope you have your warm drink, a comfy spot to sit.
Or a cold drink if that's the way you want to go.
Or a cold drink. And are ready to discuss this month's book, Murder Road, by Simone St. I'm so excited that we get to hold it up and show you guys.
Oh, I'm so supposed to be holding it up. Hello, here's the book.
No, you're good. All right. So, my lovely description that I've written, I'm going to read it from my phone because, I can't just hide this now.
And I can't pretend to just wander off while you read and come back in when you're like, CJ, what did you think of the book? I have to be like, oh, this is gripping description.
And this is also a warning, friends. If you have not read the book, there will be serious spoilers from here on out. So make sure that you've read the book or you don't care. But also, read the book, come back, listen to us when you're done. But anyway, off on their honeymoon, April and Eddie take a wrong turn into the infamous Atticus Line, though they don't know it yet. They drive past a girl walking along the side of the road with a jacket pulled tight around her. But why would someone be walking alone in the middle of the night? Being the good Samaritans that they are, they offer to help, not realizing that she's hurt until she's already climbed into the back of their car. Soon after, headlights flare up behind them. They speed to the nearest little town. Little are they prepared for the detectives to be calling them the killers? Did they kill the girl on the side of the road? Or has something more sinister been happening for the past 2 years?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dang. All right, so as usual, we start with our star ratings. CJ, what did you get it?
I gave Murder Road 2 stars.
You had to think about that. Did you not remember?
No, it's written right in front of me. I was trying to draw it out and be suspenseful. Obviously, I failed.
So I'm on the bench. So I'm up for being convinced. Okay. I feel like this could change. So I'm not set up, but I'm giving it a 3.5 stars right now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It was very much a 3-star read for me for most of the book because, to be honest, I had no feelings about it. And when I have no feelings about a book,
Yeah.
it's right down the middle. I neither hated it, I
Mm-hmm.
neither liked it. I was just like, it's a book. It's words.
It's a
I'm
book.
reading. So that's
That,
like,
yeah.
that is literally 3 stars for me. And I have no feeling about the book. However, the very end, when Rose's husband shows up and
Oh,
saves
that was
April,
sweet. That was sweet. I like that part.
that's what gave it an Travis.
I can see that. I agree. That was a really nice part. I like that.
And of the whole book in general, I think that the scene of the father coming and shooting up the house is actually really well written, and
Mm.
I was very like enthralled by it. There were a couple moments. I think that's why I just really did give it half a star. There were a couple moments when I was more like, "Oh, what's gonna happen next? Like, what's going on?" Most of the time, it didn't pay off, which is why
Yeah.
it went back to being like neutral. I don't have a feeling about this book, but there were a couple moments where I was like, and that's why I was like, all right. It's slightly higher. But on Goodreads, I say it's 3 because it's not a 4, three and a
Okay.
half stars. It's a 3, 3.5 stars for our listeners because you can't fucking do half stars. Okay. So I have to
Sorry.
specify this. Is it
Yeah.
a hard 3.5 or is it a soft 3.5? And this is a very soft 3.5. Shout out to Storygraph for their quarter stars.
Ooh. See, that's too much in the weeds for me. I can't handle
I
it.
like half stars a lot because I think they're fair, but quarter stars is way too much. But yeah, so I'm assuming you didn't like it because you gave it 2.
Okay, so it's not that I
This is your
didn't.
book.
I
This is
know,
your
I
book.
know. So I am a longtime lover of Simone St. James. So one thing I always appreciate about Simone St. James is that there's always a true supernatural component to her story. There's never a question like, oh, is it a haunting or is someone just having a psychotic breakdown? No, it's fucking haunted. The ghosts are real. They exist. They have grudges. They can hurt you. You are dealing with a ghost, and not a lot of books do that. So I love that when I pick up a Simone St. James book, and yes, I go by her full name all the time, that promises a ghost story, I know I'm getting a ghost story. However, the last few books by her over the past few years, she started incorporating a lot of true crime elements into her
Mm.
stories. So lots of cold cases, lots of tracking down murderers, lots of police procedurals. And her past 3 novels, so this one, The Book of Cold Cases was before this, and The Sundown Motel before that, they all incorporated these elements, and I have not really enjoyed them. So when I first read Simone St. James, I picked up The Haunting of Maddie Clare, which was a fantastic mix of ghost story, World War I or II, I think it might have been one, historical fiction, and surprisingly romance. Very, very sultry romance, actually. It was a great story. It was very spooky. The characters were really good and compelling. And I also read another book by her called Silence of the Dead, which is another like older historical fiction, romance, ghost story. And I think that combo is where her strength as a storyteller and a writer truly lies. With these newer books, I don't blame her for kind of going with the trend of this true crime stuff since it's so big. And I feel like it's basically made her a best-selling author. But I miss her old stuff because now the writing to me, like you said, it's neither here nor there. It's just a little bland. It's not bad, but nothing stands out. I felt like I could have been reading a Riley Sager book and not even known the
Yeah,
difference.
let's not talk about it. Mhm. I actually was really surprised, especially now with I think it's been out for a month-ish. I can't
Yeah, I
remember.
think so. Yeah, March,
How
early
many
March.
of my people I follow on Goodreads have actually picked up this book and read it,
Hmm.
and how much this book has been talked about in the world. So that was really surprising. And I love when we get a book that has traction because hopefully it gets us more listeners coming in for the book club. And I can see where you're right. Old. Riley Sager's freaking comped the book.
Oh, is he? I didn't even notice that.
I
Oh,
should have
wow.
taken that as a warning sign. Anyway, I can see because I think when she was originally writing, horror wasn't the thing that it is now, and so I can see her
Yeah,
being like, "Oh, thriller's really the thing. I can put my twist on it. This is
yeah,
how I become well known," like you said. And I think that yeah, it's probably why so many
yeah.
people picked up. I bet there's some people who think it's a thriller, find out that it's really a ghost story, and are
That's true.
opposite of us being pissed off.
Yeah, that's true.
However, I was really questioning you on this book because I do not do thrillers. I hate them to the core of my being
Mm,
because I'm bored by it.
yeah,
So I was like, okay, well, she picked this as a horror. It has to have a ghosty element, please. And it does.
it definitely
So,
does.
but there was some point there and I was like, detective, arrest.
Yeah.
They spin pound at the car. Oh, they're being followed by the police. Like, I was just like, come on. But in a way, she did weave her ghosty moments in really
She did.
well that I still was enjoying it more than if it was just being
Okay.
like the Whisper Man, which.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But also, can we side tangent for a minute? We have
Yes.
video, so we can finally do this. Okay,
Okay.
so CJ and I thought there was a car on the front of this book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there kind of is.
Yeah,
There
but
is,
like
but not where we thought.
an
I thought it was
actual
like right
car here. Yeah.
like in a red car.
Yes, me too.
I thought it was a red car.
Wow. So when I went to go get the book at the bookstore with my partner, I was like, it has a car. It's black, it's red, it has a car in the front. Yeah,
He's
he
like,
didn't
I
find
don't know
it.
what book you're looking for, but it ain't here.
And I was like, oh, there it is. Why didn't you see it? And he's like, where's the car? So we had a whole like the Mandela effect moment. We both thought there was a car on the front of this book. So
Yeah, in a different way.
we're crazy. This is
So
why we read horror.
What did you like about this? Because I have a lot of things I didn't like about this that made it 2 stars for me. So I'm curious about what you did like that made it 3 to 3.5. Well, we know the half, but so 3 stars.
Well, we definitely like to me, Rose was the best character in the book. I thought that her backstory was really interesting and well done. I thought that Simone St. hit on a very relevant topic that most people don't think about that happened in the 90s, which was essentially, when a white person would marry a black person. Like, it was very frowned upon back in the 90s.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It was still so frowned upon, but how she loved him, how people thought that she was like the murderer and was digging his grave.
So weird.
I love the little tick of all that, but how she turned out to be like this sweet lady who's obsessed with Diana. All the Diana comments I was sitting here, like, especially God, when Diana's picture gets shot in the head.
Oh, she's like, I can't stand if anything happens to Diana. I'm like, honey, 97 is gonna be a rough year for you.
And then the fact that she gets a bullet hole in the picture, I was like, well.
Harsh, Simone St. James. Harsh.
So for me, I think really Rose carried me through the book because April and Eddie were just kind of blah.
Yeah.
April, in a way, really, really pissed me off. There were two.
Me too.
I think what happened is, especially because I thought there was going to be a lot more to the story, and April was the reason for that. Because one time she actually broke the fourth wall.
Did she?
Yes. It is on page 184.
Look at you all prepared.
I know, but I knew we were like busily reporting, and so I was like, here's my moment to shine.
Okay.
As I take forever and talk as I try to find this page, and I'll,
Did you put a Post-it note on your page?
Okay, so here's the line. I'm going to read the line before it. No, I faked this. I thought. I'm going to read the line before it just to make more like clear to everyone. But it says, when I met Eddie Carter, I saw someone who was so different from me, yet his purpose mirrored my own. Reader, I married him.
Oh.
Because it should be me or no.
That's from Jane Eyre.
Okay, but still, it's breaking the fourth wall.
It is, but I did like that part because it's a subtle nod to Jane Eyre, and so it was like it's a big thing with Jane Eyre because normally back in that time, men married women. Women didn't decide to marry men. So she says in the book, "Reader, I married him."
I forgot about that.
Sign of power, kind of.
And I love Jane Eyre. Clearly, I didn't remember that part. Well, there's that one, and there was the other line on 88 where she says, I wrote it on my phone, this one, where it says, maybe Eddie and I were lying and we killed Rhonda Jean or something. There were just these moments, and the constant alluding to her backstory, which her backstory wasn't bad. To be honest, I think Eddie and April's backstories were too detailed for this book. We didn't need to. Take note for listeners. CJ, you don't need so much backstory.
Noted.
Anyway, there's the way that she was alluding to so much more of going on, and then it turned out that they had nothing to do. Well, they had nothing to do with it. It was just kind of, there was just so much buildup that wasn't paid off.
I agree. That was one of the things that annoyed me. Like the Eddie, not so much, but April, she kept talking like she had done this horrible, bad thing. And I'm like, she was really just a victim of circumstance. And I really expected her to come out with something that she killed a person directly. It was running from the law. And it's a lot of buildup for nothing.
Exactly.
And I was a bit disappointed. I think it could have been better if there had been more of an emotional arc for April, where if she realized that she was just a victim too, particularly in comparison to the Lost Girls ghost who's just killing willy-nilly to get revenge for her situation. Like April grew up in an awful situation, and all she did was get a job and not tell on her mom. She didn't turn into a murderer. And I feel like Eddie could have pointed out that she was never as bad as his birth mom became after death, and that April could have some kind of epiphany about herself, since in the beginning she was all about, oh my god, I'm so horrible, wait till he knows, when anybody finds out, blah 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 blah. And it's just like, what? So you did nothing? You just were a kid? Oh, that's horrible. No.
Even though, did she say that she actually knew her dad was killed before her mom was arrested? Or was it just an idea she had?
I think she suspected
Okay.
at some point, and as she got older, she might have suspected.
Okay.
But like, still, you're a kid. You're not going to tell on your parent
Oh,
because you're a kid.
you're gonna go to the police and be like, no, I think mommy killed daddy, but I have no proof the door was shut.
Yeah. So,
Like,
by the
why?
time she could have actually done something actionable against her mom was arrested, because I think it happened when she was 18. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Which also is interesting because she made it for a very long time feel like her mom left her and abandoned her, which I was like, okay, I'm really for that idea. And then you find out that it was like, no, she was just arrested. And you're like, what?
Yeah. I feel like in general, April's mom, what is really the point of her other than just to expose April as a liar? She was a plot device. I feel like that lie could have been exposed some other way. You know, April makes a big deal about the money being gone, and we don't hear much about that, though, until right before she discovers the sign. It's not like she was planning to buy a house with it or told Eddie about it, and then she talks to her mom that one time, and we never hear from her mom again. She just disappears. It's your plot device, and I don't know, it didn't
Well,
sit well with me.
I think the other thing that you're struggling with is that so much is talked about their place in life. They're standing down, they work these dead end jobs, they can barely afford their rent. There is no future. Like Simone St made it very clear that their financial future does not exist. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, oh, well, really, I was sitting on this $20,000 that could change our life. And, whereas if she had nodded to it, like, oh, we're struggling so much, but I have a way we could get out.
Yeah.
We're struggling, but I could change our future. That would have helped to when she go the whole time be like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And then she goes to the bank and like, she has $20,000, which back in the 90s, $20,000 is
It's a lot of money.
a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money. I would take $20,000 if someone were to give that to me. Thank you very much.
But yeah. Now in terms of Eddie, did you guess that Shannon was his mom? Like, did you figure that out before?
I did not. So that fault. Did you guess it?
I did.
You did.
Yes.
Okay. Did you guess it before it was revealed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think I guessed it as soon as they mentioned she had a kid.
Okay.
And like I know she tried to allude to the whole baby thing of it. Like, oh, it was like
Okay.
it's Eddie. It's Eddie.
Yeah, I just didn't care so much about trying to figure anything out. Like this whole, like I could not attach to the characters at all. They were very two-dimensional for me. It just, I kept wondering why April and Eddie were so hell-bent on helping the lost girl once they were free to go. And when it was eventually revealed that she is probably Eddie's birth mother, it made sense. But I feel that reveal came too late for me in this story because I already checked out. I was already bored and uninterested in their whole sleuthing thing. And then also, once the possible connection was suggested, it just became so obvious that that was the answer. Like, we all know who the lost girl was and why Eddie and April were suddenly pulled into this. And then it just seemed to take too long to prove that the lost girl was Shannon/Eddie's birth mom. So, again, I don't know if I would have wanted it to be revealed earlier and me figured out earlier, but then it just would have annoyed me for longer that they're trying to track all this stuff down and prove it when we obviously, reader, we know.
Yeah, I think that the problem is there were these moments in the book. I think that's why, like I said, I'm flatlined on this book. Because there were moments I had me go really excited for a second. Like when they did try to leave town and she stops him in the road and like tries to pull Eddie out of the car. Like that was a moment my heart was beating a little bit more and I was expecting more out of the story.
Yeah.
But then the flat moments that you're referring to kind of just took all of that down and just made me go, And I couldn't follow along to the belief that, okay, what I needed out of the story was how far away was their actual honeymoon location? Like, how much of
I don't know.
a side tangent was them taking Atticus Line? Are we talking like they took, say, the highway, say like I-95, like a typical, multi-state highway?
Yeah.
Were they on that And then they happened to drive past the exit that would have taken them to Atticus Lake. So it was close enough for her to be like, take him over. Or like, did she start taking him over forever ago? When did this start?
That's a good point.
Did she plan this? Is this been like she's been dropping and finding him and dropping his, like, when did this start? That this just felt like she had a plan. Like she was like, I'm gonna reveal to you that you're my son. Where did all that begin?
I guess I just took it as they were driving along the highway, and as they pass like the exit, Shannon / Lost Girl's ghosty vibes were like, I feel my son that is nearby, and she sent out like ghosty trans vibes to make him turn toward was it Cold Lake Falls or something like that?
Was it Cold Lake or Cold Creek? Ah, you did it. You did it. You have the problem with the name.
Cold Lake Falls.
No. Cold Lake Falls.
So I think she made them turn off the main highway, I guess, and take the turn toward that town, and then start her little ghostly mojo on them. But I wasn't really checked in for a lot of it, because I feel like they just kept saying that over and over and over again. And that was a big thing with me with this novel, was the repetition, and not in a good way. Another example is April repeating how much Eddie meant to her in a million ways. He was the only one who could ever make her want to settle down, to change, risk everything to fall in love. And it was like a book homage to Paramore's song, The Only Exception. And it was totally sweet the first 25 times. But after a while, it's like, okay, we get it, girl. You love Eddie. Let's move the fuck on. And I find like this is actually something that I feel is happening in a lot of books lately, where basic themes are just beaten into your head. An example would be, and I know you're going to love this because you love talking about this book so much, in The House of Last Resort, you were spot on by saying how much it repeated that this couple was taking you a chance, it was them against the world, blah, 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 and you were totally right about that.
The Blue Dome.
The Blue Dome. But like, why are we beating heads in with these topics so much? Is it because people are skimming more instead of reading, and that if April only mentioned that she really loves Eddie the first 3 times, people are just too busy skimming, they won't notice it, so we have to say it 50 billion times? I don't know.
Okay, I have a couple comments to this.
Okay.
One, it's actually funny that you should say are people not reading, because when I was scrolling on YouTube the other day and just kind of like looking at other book tubers titles and topics that they're talking about, someone had a YouTube title that was like, we're not reading books anymore. And it had to do with a more of a it wasn't like actual enough for somebody reading, but how we're skimming books and all this stuff. But also it's quite kind of funny that you talk about that, because I was reading your comments on the book, and so we were talking about my partner and I found my comments and how like you wanted more repetition of information. And he's like, readers are just dumb. Like, you don't need to spoon feed them information, and like they need to, like, you write intelligent. They need to actually read your book.
Apparently, you need to spoon feed people.
And like now you're saying all this. You're saying all this, and it's funny too. It's funny too that you also bring this up, because you're quoting another book. I just got an arc, and I'm not going to name the arc here because I don't want to do that. But I got an arc where literally it felt like 80% of the book was a repetition of an emotion, to the point that I was like, I'm over this. I'm over getting told this. I get it. I got it. 2 chapters in.
Yeah.
You fucking feel this way. Stop telling me.
Yeah. It's happening, and it's fun.
Wow, I'm sorry, listeners, if that was, my mic is right here, and I just fully clapped over. I'm sorry. I got really into that. Anyway, it's so interesting that you say all this, because I don't think this is like a bad thing, but one of your critique partners are telling you to also repeat.
Yeah, that's
that
true.
You need repetition.
Yeah.
And now I'm wondering if it's we're feeding into this as writers. Okay, like, this is becoming a very big trend now. So you named books, I'm naming books in other genres. We're seeing this is happening again. If we feed into readers, are we dumbing down? Like, I mean, I don't know. Now I'm like,
this was a bit like dumbed down. Like, this, with the repetition.
This book felt like watered down milk. The substance was missing from it for me. Again, that's why I was just like this, because it was just the sentence structure, the content. Like there was like some meat and bones enough to like sustain you on life, but there wasn't an else
Yeah.
to the story. There was no meat. There was nothing to chew on in this book.
Yeah.
And I think that I really struggle with that. And so the books that are getting massive stage feel very watered down. And so, and now you have critique partners asking for that. Now they're bleeding into you asking me for
Yeah.
that. Because I was
The
reading
whole
your
big
comments and I was like,
epidemic.
this sounds like a critique partners focus.
Maybe they did.
And I was just like, no. But yeah, this is a big question I think that we need to start questioning in the industry.
Yeah.
Because, okay, and because if you go to Fourth Wing, okay, we had massive amount, huge, everyone, non-readers, readers, people who don't read fantasy were flocking to the first book, and they got through the first book. But then all the non-fantasy readers and the real legit readers bailed after book 2 because it was too dense for them.
Okay.
And
Was
I
it
will agree.
repetitive?
No, it was dense. The world building, the information, like the book is just.
Okay.
It took me 10 days to read that book, and you know,
Yeah, you're
that
a
is
fast
a
reader.
lot, a long
Yeah.
time for me. It was amazing though. I loved it, but I had to read it
Yeah.
because it was so dense.
Yeah,
There was so much
people don't
world
want to
building.
put in the time anymore.
And I don't mean that in a boring way, like back in the 50s when they take a whole page to fucking describe a chair. I'm not talking that kind of world. I'm talking legit, like really amazing.
Yeah.
I still gave the book 5 stars. Like I was just, but it took you reading it, and all the like girly swirly readers kind of bailed on it. We're like, I can't do this. This is too much. They wanted just to be there for the romance.
Yeah. There are
So
some
I
books
applaud.
that I've read that I purposely go back and reread paragraphs because I know sometimes when I'm skimming something, because I read so much, it just happens. And I'm like, no, I love this book. I want to enjoy every second. Every sentence is important. And I'm always so glad I do that. This was not one of those books, but yeah.
So I think we just delved into a very interesting conversation.
I think we did too, actually.
And listeners, this is your turn to chime in. Are you seeing this trend as well? And what are your thoughts? Let's
I
be
feel like you
honest
have to be
here.
seeing this trend because it's just everywhere.
Right? And then there's another trend about like publishers are only picking shorter books now to lower page count for printing.
Fucked.
Well, my book right now is
You got a good shot.
No, not on this book that I'm working on. This is a long book.
Yeah.
I think I left it at 120, which is a lot for me.
Wow. That's a tome for you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Even though I know you're like, oh, the chapters are short. I tend to write short chapters. I can't help it.
Yeah.
It's just because I like to end on the oof.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. All the chapters I end on the oof. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know where we went with this, where this started. Where's the thread? Where did we get?
All right, I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back.
Okay,
to...
okay, let's go to a different topic here. We
Okay.
beat this horse dead. I'm looking at my notes. That's why my eyes are
Okay.
going down.
I want to talk about the plot in general.
Okay,
So,
that's great. Yes.
I could not get over the fact that the Cold Lake Falls police really just seemed to hang on to the theory that April and Eddie pulled over, tried to kill a girl on the side of the road, and then packed her back into the car and drove her to the nearest ER, and then waited for the police to come and question them. Like, that makes no sense. If you're trying to kill somebody, why would you then try to save them?
Okay, so even though it was beating your head with all the explanation at the end,
Ugh.
I kind of understood that after they talked to Quentin.
Yes, at the very end.
At the very end, and Quentin explained why. I was like, okay. When you have like a 20-year cold case and this is your one tiny little thread that points to something. Somebody saw them before they died. Like, you're gonna, like, if you watch any police shows, like, I was forced to grow up watching all the police shows, okay? Because like, they would do anything to be able to hold a person for the 72-hour holding period and find anything that could keep holding. Because even if they don't know, they can't take the chance of letting those people go if they've really, really close. And this is the one tiny shred of attachment to anything. And I get it.
That.
I get that.
I get it. Like when Clinton explained it at the end, I got it. But while we were reading it, it kept bugging me. And I think it's one of those cases where it's okay if you don't answer it until the end, but you have to acknowledge it in the book earlier because it's just going to nag the reader. And it kept nagging at me. And that was one of the reasons why I couldn't get into the book, because if they had just dropped some little hint about it, then I would have been like, okay, I'm going to wait for this. Because otherwise it just made no sense. It was stupid. It was just a stupid reason. And it just bothered the hell out of me.
Did I throw a hint?
I did not. And I know, like, the characters even ask a few times, like, why would you think we did this? This is ridiculous. And he's like, well, we're just going to keep you here anyway because this is our story and we're sticking with it. And I'm like, it just seemed like bullshit.
You know me.
Yeah. I couldn't get into it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the characters. There was ghosty stuff, but it wasn't.
It was vanilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked it a lot when they found the truck in the dollar mart. That was a moment that, like, my interest got piqued again. I was like, and the fact that they fought, but also unbelievable. There was a lot of unbelievable stuff in this book because I found it unbelievable. They would go into the middle of nowhere and drive into, like, someone's property and start searching the truck.
Yeah.
No.
I found that a little odd too. And then, like, breaking into that guy's house toward the end.
No, I found that one more believable. But also, let's talk about the actual ending.
Mm-hmm.
It was the father.
Yeah. I was wondering who the killer was going to end up
How
being.
unoriginal is that? Really, the whole thing is he just got angry and accidentally killed his daughter. Like,
Tragic.
how unoriginal is it? And then, okay, so he has the terminal brain cancer that everyone else has that she's inhabited. So did she inhabit him at some point? Did she give that to him?
I think it's like I read it as a ghosty side effect of being possessed.
So how did he get it? How did he get it?
That's a good point.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
I actually did appreciate that touch with the ghosty side effects and also that she's able to take over their body right as they're dying. Because to me, it's scientifically thinking the soul leaves the body and then she thinks that they inhabit it from the last remaining seconds before it expires. And I also appreciated that because it was a moment that she had to be able to talk or whatever, or try to point people to what happened to her. But why again is she trying to kill these people?
She's just a bitter ghost. Yeah, she's just angry that she's dead and she wants everybody to suffer with her. It wasn't really explained, I don't think.
I guess.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know why she turned into such an angry person. You would think that she would want to try and save people from a fate that, befell her. But no, she just keeps doing it over and over again.
I don't know. It's
why
very
didn't
interesting.
She just, like, possess somebody, drive them to her father's house, and kill her father? Boom! Story's done in 90 pages.
Well, it's done before it even started. Because then her son wouldn't even... So, did his grandfather give him up? Eddie? Ben? Was that how he ended up in foster care?
He must have.
Okay.
Yeah, because normally a kid would go to its nearest living relative. So yeah, he must have just not claimed him or something.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I should listen. It said, Riley Sager says it's a trip well worth taking, and I don't trust that man's word for anything. I don't know, like it is.
I think this may be my last Simone St. James book for a while.
It's my first, because I am going to read the one that you like in October.
Maddie Claire.
Is that the one with the barn on the side?
It's had a couple covers.
Oh, no.
So I forget. But there is a barn involved, so probably.
Okay. So I will read that one. So listeners, look out for our October reading challenge, because we each do our own. I am going to be probably reading that one if I don't get bored and read it sooner. I keep doing this. I keep reading my October books way too soon.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued to hear what you think about her writing from back then versus the writing now. Because I think it's been a while, but I think it's much more lyrical, much prettier, better character development.
See, you're scaring me again. You're telling me that her writing was more lyrical, and now it's gone to this shit. Like, these sentences were borderline as bad as House of Last Resort.
It's just
this a little bit better.
Nothing special.
There was no meat to it. This does scare me about the industry.
Yeah.
Also, this is the book that's getting all the hype. Like,
if we hadn't been reading this for the podcast, I probably would have DNF'd it because I just wasn't like I didn't hate it like I hated Rouge, which I definitely would have DNF'd if it weren't for the podcast, but it just wasn't like you said, there was no me, there was nothing sucking me in, and I have other stuff I want to read.
I know Rouge got such a bad rating from me, which someone that I follow on Goodreads gave that book 5 stars, but that's
Are you
not
still friends with that person?
No.
Yeah.
I just follow him on Goodreads now. We're not friends anymore. But even though I did give Rouge a lower rating, I feel like Rouge was a better book than this one.
I see your point.
I just had not the writing.
Yeah. Like, there was some beautiful writing in Rouge. Yes. Absolutely. And the way she constructed an environment and atmosphere was compelling.
So now I'm like, crap. Does this the piece?
Everything we know is false.
It's all a lie. It's all a lie. But I guess it was just like, I didn't care when I was reading this one. Whereas, like, she made me mad in Rouge.
Yeah. At least there was some visceral emotion evoked with Rouge. And with this one, I was just like, meh, is it over? Maybe it's time for a snack. Maybe I'll take a nap. Maybe I'll read another book. No, you should keep reading this one. You have to talk about it on Tuesday.
Yes, listeners, we do this for you. We do not DNF books.
I tried. She wouldn't let me.
I talked about selective feedback. Yes. Nine Tiles was a close call. There was a faux pas. There was this whole thing.
I almost completely derailed this whole podcast project before we even got off the ground.
That wasn't our first book.
It was our third book, I think.
Third?
Yeah. Either third or fourth.
Fourth. You're third. We had Sign here. It was, because I have all our books right here.
Nice.
We had the Pomptony Haunted House, Sign here, and then Night Tales. But, listeners, a guaranteed read for us as soon as the date's announced. Brady Hendricks has a new book coming out.
Yes.
And so we will definitely be reading it here on the podcast or book club. He's a guaranteed read for us. I hope you love him as much as we love him. Yeah. I'm so excited. We also have some really, really good books for the rest of the year. We mapped out the rest of the year.
We have some good ones coming up.
And I kind of hinted on Instagram that we're going to be doing a T. Kingfisher Lip at some point.
Yes.
So if you wanted to jump into her books, keep an eye out because we are going to be doing that. Really excited. Yes, I had to keep myself from reading those books now.
It's hard because her books are just so great. So you just want to jump into them.
So, well, I will say if someone wants... Okay, so from getting back to Murder Road to wrap this up, I will say if someone wants a light horror, this would be a really good light horror book for someone. This is not that scary. Oh, my hair. I'm trying to get used to this, listeners. I'm sorry. I just, like, look at that. Look at them.
I think it's glorious because I just have stick straight hair and you have this wild, untamed mane, and I'm very jealous.
Untamed. Anyway, I think this is great if you are someone or you know someone who doesn't really want like hardcore, they want a softcore horror book. This is like a great choice. But, okay, we always try to give a writerly advice. And I had mine earlier, and I forgot what it was, so.
Don't repeat shit over and over again. Though apparently that gets you published, so maybe do repeat stuff over and over again.
I think this is a book that the backstory was just too much done for. The backstories were too thick for the content and the plot of the story. Yeah. And I think that you can give too much and make too much of a strong backstory for a book, and I think that's the case here. It just slowed down the book too much and it just didn't sit. It wasn't enough for the type of story that was being written.
Yeah. That's a good point. I feel like there wasn't as much going on in the here and now as there was in the backstory. You're right. And that's what kept me, it didn't really hook me because there was nothing actually happening now. Oh, I wanted to ask you, actually, before.
Well, can I make one more comment? There's just too much. This is a case where the backstory is just too much, and that you are giving too much backstory for what you're writing, and that you need to refrain from that. We don't need to know everything, writers. We don't. Make mystery. What's your question, ma'am?
The Snell sisters.
Oh my God.
Think of them. I was not impressed.
So I'm watching Stranger Things and I just feel like they're the kids from Stranger Things.
I thought it was kind of a weird addition. I was looking on Instagram the other day, and I think, well, Simone St. James had posted a photo of the 17 magazine cover, which I loved because I remember reading that issue when it came out. Like, I have true visions of reading that issue, that 1995 edition. So it just brought back like a ton of nostalgia. I did love the 90s nostalgia, and that's because that was childhood for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
But
I will. I love that it was set in the 90s.
yeah. But somebody posted, I think in the comments, like, oh my God, the Snell sisters are fantastic, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and I hadn't gotten to that point in the book yet when I saw this comment. I'm like, Snell sisters, I can't wait to get to that because maybe the book will liven up. The book did not liven up. And I did not really find the Snell sisters that compelling.
I didn't mind them as characters of their own. They did add a little bit of levity about it. It was like a nod to the obsession of true crime of nowadays. Like they're
True.
the mothers of the obsession.
Yeah.
But I found, just as in the bank account with her calling her mom and the whole how that was too easy. If I remember correctly, Eddie and Ava were talking about how they needed to like go to something, the library or something, to find out information. Where do they start? Where or how? Oh no, they were talking about going to police department, sweet talking someone into giving them information about the first murder.
Oh,
They were
yeah,
talking about like what's the next step that we can take to get information on the first murder. They decide to go eat first, and all of a sudden in their lap falls this girl that happens to have all this information with a cleverly explained backstory of how they got it. Because why should a 17-year-old have police records?
Yeah.
And I just did not like that.
I didn't like the fact that they were able to develop film on the fly and break into the school and do like, I took a photography class and I barely, it's been years, but you don't just remember that off the top of your head. You know, you could F up that film really easily.
You also don't have any red light on when you're developing the actual film canisters. So I was a photography major in college, okay?
Oh.
So when they like were like, oh, we turn on the red light and we're trying to like do the film, like, you do that all in the dark, blindfolded practically. Like there is no light with the actual film canister because it will ruin the film.
I remember having to put my hands in the bag and take the film out of the canister in the bag and feed it through something. You had to like feel your way through the whole thing.
I forgot
right?
about that. So
I remember that because we practiced so hard on that in class to get that right. And by the end, I was a master at it. I was so proud.
We didn't have the bags. We had rooms that we literally had to shut ourselves into. So I never got to do the bag. I just had to go into a room that was specifically designed for people just to do the film.
Wow.
So we had a dark room that you did all the like printing,
Yeah,
but
we
to
had
us
that
to the
too.
film, we had 3 rooms that you go and lock the door, scary as fuck, and you had to feel the table in front of you and grab the pieces and then stick it in the developing canister, screw it on really tight, and then you could turn the light on and develop it. But there could be no light whatsoever.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when that happened, I was like, yeah. But his mom shorting out the light was kind of cool though.
Shorting out the light.
Because there was the light above the door to
yeah.
say they were in there, and she shorted it so the person wouldn't find out. I thought that was kind of...
Yeah, I she wants them to solve her murder and she's helping them, but she tried to kill April just like moments ago. She
That was also a stupid moment.
Yeah, I don't know why those, and I'm just so disappointed. I was kind of expecting to be disappointed with this book because, like I said, I've been disappointed with the last few ones. And when I heard it was called Murder Road, I was like, oh God, it's probably gonna be another fucking murder case. And I just give me ghosts, just give me good old fashioned ghosty business. And there was some of that, but not enough. And I'm just sad. I'm just sad. Sad cat ears.
Are you sticking with 2 stars then?
Oh God, I might go down to 1.5 now that we've talked.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm willing to put that on Goodreads, though.
Well, you still have to pick if it's a 1 or a 2, so...
What are you giving it?
I think I'm going to go down to 3. So I'm going to lose a half a star on my end, just because it's whatever.
I'm torn between a 1 and a 2. Because in my head, 1 is I hated it. 2 is it was okay. And I think I'd go with it was okay. So I guess I'm a 2.
Me too.
I'll give it 2.
It was fine. It was 1 with 3. It was fine. I didn't know they loved it or hated it.
Yeah.
Meh.
Meh. Looking forward to next month.
I would say we actually did agree on this book, though.
Yeah.
So that's 2. 2 in a row, listeners. 2. Oh. Yeah. But I think that we covered everything. Yeah.
I think so.
Are we excited for the announcement of next month's book? Or
I am.
am I the only one that gets excited about this?
I already know it, so I don't get excited to hear the announcement, but when you remind me what it is, I get excited.
All right, we are reading The Widow Black by Lee Mandello, which I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. The Widow Black to equal parts historical horror, trans romance, and blood-soaked revenge, all set in the 1920s Appalachia. I just butchered that. Let's just everyone blank that from your mind. Appalachia.
I hear it can be Appalachia or Appalachia.
Yeah, but I
So
said
there you go.
Chia. I
Oh,
said
chia.
Chia.
Like cha-cha-chia.
Leslie Bruin is assigned to the backwoods township of Spar Creek by the Frontier Nursing Service. Under its usual mandate, vaccinate the flock, birth babies, and weather the judgments of churchy locals who look at him and see a failed woman. Forged in the fires of the Western Front and reborn in the cafes of Paris, Leslie believes he can handle whatever is thrown at him. But Spar Creek holds a darkness beyond his nightmares. Something ugly festers within the local congregation, and its malice it has focused on a young person they insist is an unruly tomboy who must be brought to heel. Violence is bubbling when Leslie arrives, ready to spill over, and he'll have to act fast if he intends to be of use. But the hills enfolding Spar Creek have a mind of their own, and the woods are not haunted in ways Leslie does not understand.
Mm.
I'm excited. It's another historical one.
I'm excited for the Appalachian stuff because that's
Yes.
always very creepy to me. So
Yes.
it just adds an automatic level of atmosphere, in my opinion.
I love the Appalachians. I have a little bit of family history with that. My grandfather is from West Virginia, and he used to run moonshine.
Ooh.
And so it's just, I don't know, I like it. And I love laying claim to that part of it, even though a lot of people are like, there's that whole thing about it.
Yeah.
But whatever. I like what I like because I like it.
Because I like it. I liked it because I liked it.
Well, I hope you love this, friends, so much. I hope you love the new format and our pretty faces. We finally have faces and names. So I think that's really exciting. And if you need to get your book club book, don't forget to, in our show notes, we have our affiliate links to bookshop.org. We won't judge who you pick. Just pick one of us. And if you don't know what bookshop.org is, it is a online bookseller that helps you support your local bookstore as well as giving us a small commission at no extra cost to you. So you're supporting our lights being on and
Yes,
all of
these
this
lights
stuff.
are because of you.
Well, thank you, friends, for listening to today's episode. We hope that you liked it. If you're listening on YouTube, then please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Tell us how pretty we are. And then we're also podcasts on Spotify, iHeart, and iTunes with polls and questions specifically on Spotify. So go look and give them a gander. But we hope you do well, and we can't wait for next month. Bye, friends.